They bulldozed my dream home while I was burying my father. 6 months later, I wiped their entire HOA district off the state map legally. Get this, I am standing graveside, saying goodbye to Dad, and 40 yards away, Cordelia Blackthorne, the HOA president with a heart colder than mountain frost, is out there filming as my custom stone fireplace gets crushed by a bulldozer. Yeah, the same fireplace Dad and I built together, stone by stone, in the kind of quiet that lets a man remember what matters. Diesel exhaust mixing with mountain pine, steel treads grinding ceramic tile, the whole place screeching with a metallic finality that stuck in my ears like a scream you can't block out. My vintage wine collection, gone. Dad's retirement gift, dumped like garbage. Handcrafted oak cabinets, splintered under machinery. And through it all, Cordelia's standing there with her little smirk, thinking she's untouchable. But she made a mistake. She didn't know I'm a structural engineer who reads legal documents for fun. Ever tangled with a power-drunk HOA? Drop your horror story below. Tell me where you're from. I want to see how far this kind of revenge can travel. My name's Ezra Thornfield. I'm 52, semi-retired, and I thought I'd found paradise up in Pine Ridge Estates, Colorado. 2 acres of mountain heaven, a dream I built with my own hands after Sarah, my wife, lost her battle with cancer. Timber frame construction, floor-to-ceiling windows that caught every sunrise, a wraparound deck where eagles soared, and for a while, that house became the only place I could breathe. 18 months I spent working through grief. My hands raw but my heart a little less broken every day. The scent of sawdust, pine needles, that handmade ceramic mug of coffee warming up the morning. This place was more than a house. It was a second shot at living. Solar panels, rainwater collection, an organic vegetable garden, wildflowers everywhere. Unlike most suburbanites, I actually looked up what belonged in this ecosystem. And then Cordelia showed up, like a perfectly coiffed tornado, 47, real estate developer turned HOA president, always with her white Tesla Model S and an iPad fused to her hand, snapping violation photos at sunrise, her hair somehow defying mountain wind, probably held up by pure spite. Her cousin Rex, the so-called enforcement officer. Picture an ex-mall security guard with a fake cop light bar on his golf cart, taking violation photos at dawn like he's starring in his own cop show. The whole thing was so absurd it'd be funny if it didn't end with a bulldozer crushing my dreams. First strike. Certified letter. $500 fine for unauthorized landscaping modifications. My crime? Planting native wildflowers instead of Kentucky bluegrass. Dear Mr. Thornfield, she wrote, your property displays weeds inconsistent with community standards. I showed up at the hearing, research in hand native plants reduce water usage, help wildlife, even raise property values. Cordelia never even looked at my appeal. Doubled the fine to $1,000. Rules are rules, she said, not even glancing up from her iPad. That's when I started seeing the pattern. Jenkins, the elderly neighbor, fined $800 for the wrong mailbox color. Young families threatened with foreclosure over kids' chalk drawings. Retired teacher Millicent had Rex in her garden with a ruler, measuring plant heights like some deranged botanist. Even Dalton, a Vietnam vet, was harassed for parking his truck at a non-compliant angle. Ivy, the young mom, said Rex followed her to the store and photographed her kids through the window. That wasn't community, it was a dictatorship, and Cordelia ran it like her personal fiefdom. But here's what Cordelia didn't get about engineers. We solve problems, we dig for facts, we don't fold under pressure. I'd buried a wife, built a home with my hands, survived 3 decades of corporate backstabbing. There's not much a petty HOA president could do to break me. I started pulling records at the county clerk's office, digging through every document tied to Pine Ridge Estates. That's where I found the gold original HOA covenants, heavier stock paper, real legal language, nothing like the stuff Cordelia kept sending. Buried in Section 12, Subsection 4, homeowners may engage in decorative landscaping with seasonal plants for aesthetic enhancement. Wildflowers, vegetables, both seasonal, both allowed. Game on, Cordelia. She sent a cease and desist for my vegetable garden. Claimed tomatoes created unsightly agricultural appearance. Rex came by with a ruler, measuring cherry tomatoes like they were nuclear threats. So I brought out my ASDR. Patricia Yellowbird, a Colorado state wildlife biologist, testified that native gardens increase property value and help the ecosystem. Cordelia's expert, her hairdresser's boyfriend who'd watched a documentary on raccoons. When I pointed out the original covenants allowed for seasonal plants, the room went dead silent. A few neighbors nodded, Millicent took notes. Dalton shot me a thumbs-up to knee cracks in Cordelia's wall of fear. But the harassment ramped up. Twice weekly compliance checks at 6 a.m., doormat placement violations, Christmas lights 2 days over the limit, my truck parked 3 degrees off. Rex measured my mailbox with 2 different tapes, every detail documented. Every morning a new alarm clock. Selective enforcement? You bet. Other houses with the same issues went unnoticed. So I started photographing every property, building a database, mailbox angles, doormat positions, you name it. Meanwhile, neighbors started whispering about my tomatoes, asking for tips. Vegetables have a way of bringing people together, you know? A group chat formed. Pine Ridge Truth First 19, then 28 members. The more Cordelia tried to isolate me, the more united we became. Then she tried to hit me where it hurt. My solar panels. Cited obscure amendments, demanded $15,000 for removal, threatened foreclosure. But the amendments? Passed in a 6 a.m. Christmas Eve meeting. 3 out of 47 residents voting. No notice, no quorum. I filed a formal complaint with the state, got 23 neighbor signatures, and exposed the whole thing. Turned out Cordelia owned shares in a roofing company threatened by solar, and Rex's brother-in-law had a turf business. Financial conflicts never disclosed. Then came a mini twist. A county inspector showed up. Anonymous complaint about my solar installation. Turns out, the inspector was used to this, and after a full check, signed off my panels as better than most commercial installs. Cordelia tried for an emergency meeting, supporters only. I crashed it with 12 neighbors and Colorado statute in hand. Ivy, Dalton, Millicent, the whole crew stood with me. We demanded transparency. Cordelia tried pushing through an emergency vote, but we knew the quorum rules now. Every move she made just exposed more of her scheme. Her next target? My rainwater collection system. Claimed it was a health hazard. Threatened $500 daily fines. County health inspector arrived, found professionally installed filtration and UV sterilization. Declared my system model sustainable water management. The kicker? Cordelia's own rental properties had identical rainwater setups, installed without approval. I got time-stamped photos, property records. At the next emergency meeting, I laid out her hypocrisy for everyone to see. Same manufacturer, same installation, installed after mine. Rex's surveillance turned into stalking, photographing interiors, following residents, even targeting Ivy's kids at the bus stop. Police got involved, restraining orders issued. But the real earthquake came when we compared original subdivision maps to current HOA enforcement areas. Turned out, 24 homes including mine weren't even legally in the HOA's jurisdiction. Decades of fees, fines, and harassment, all fraudulent. County records confirmed it. The boundary expansion in 1994 was never filed. Homeowners' signatures missing or forged. No legal basis whatsoever. That's when I knew Cordelia's empire was built on sand. I got in touch with Helena Blackwood, a Bulldog property rights attorney. Our group formalized, gathered evidence, hired surveyors. Audit showed Cordelia had siphoned $340,000 in illegal fees, routed money to her rental properties, paid Rex $48,000 a year to play pretend cop. Coalition grew door-to-door campaigns, weekly meetings in my workshop, everybody sharing records and stories. Cordelia tried to shut us down, threatened defamation suits. Helena just laughed. Truth is an absolute defense. Cordelia's last desperate act was the demolition. Scheduled the bulldozer for the morning of my father's funeral. Used an emergency powers clause. No permits. No engineering reports. But Dalton and his veteran buddies blocked the machinery, flags waving, while I raced home. Police arrived, found Cordelia had paid the contractor directly. Evidence of criminal conspiracy right there, recorded calls, bank transfers, everything. Media swarmed the story. Cordelia fled the state, abandoned her Tesla at the airport, but she couldn't outrun the law. Rex cracked under questioning, confessed to harassment, surveillance, and coordinated vandalism. Cordelia was brought back in cuffs, charged with fraud, conspiracy, embezzlement. At the county commissioner's meeting, the evidence was overwhelming: fake boundary maps, forged signatures, confessions, and a packed room full of neighbors ready to testify. The commissioners dissolved the HOA on the spot, ordered restitution for every illegally governed family. Spontaneous applause, neighbors hugging for the first time in years, felt like a lifetime of fear lifting off our shoulders. 6 months later, Pine Ridge transformed. Property values shot up, a real sense of community blossomed: monthly potlucks, a shared tool library, no more anonymous violation slips. Dalton's crew did snow removal for seniors. Kids' laughter echoed through spaces once patrolled by wrecks. The money recovered funded a new playground, hiking trails, and even a scholarship for environmental studies. Cordelia got 18 months in federal prison. Her real estate empire dissolved at auction. Rex turned his life around doing community service and personally apologized to every family. We became the poster child for how to fight HOA corruption: interviews, documentaries, new laws in Colorado inspired by our case. The native plant garden is now a field trip site, our stories taught in property rights seminars, and for the first time, neighbors wave because they want to, not because they're scared. So here's what I learned. Bullies thrive on isolation, but community and a little legal know-how can bring down any corrupt authority. Before you buy, research the boundaries, demand official records, document everything. Don't just survive, fight back, and rebuild something real when the system finally crumbles. Drop your own HOA nightmare in the comments. You're not alone. If you want more David versus Goliath stories, stick around, because next week I'm exposing a corrupt mayor, fake appraisals, and a perp walk that made national news. For now, tell Muhat, does real justice look like where you live? Let's talk about it.